Healthy Rebel Radio is sponsored by the Healthy Rebel app. 300 plus secretly healthy, delicious, mouth-watering dessert and treat recipes made with all-natural, whole food ingredients. Now available for download on the App Store and Google Play. Find out more details at healthyrebel.com.
Welcome to Healthy Rebel Radio. I'm your host, Dr. David Dyser. I'm here with my Dami Health Healthy Rebel co-founder, Amy Lane. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to a special edition of Healthy Rebel Radio. This is the Valentine's Day episode.
Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to you.
So we are doing this special episode today. It's not a weekday for us, but we have a lot of things to say. Well, I know that you do specifically.
Yeah, I don't know if you do.
Yeah, I can't relate to much of this, but I have...
But you've been directly affected by it.
Oh, in a major way. In a major way, so I'm excited to see what you have to say.
Definitely. Should we start with what we do for Valentine's Day?
Okay, you go for it. Sure.
Well, how would you describe what we do for Valentine's Day?
We don't really celebrate Valentine's Day.
We don't.
No.
We don't shun it either.
No, absolutely not.
It holds basically no emotion for us.
I forgot. I'm sorry. I forgot it was Valentine's Day.
I forgot as well.
Yeah, I figured.
But yeah, for us, we're not much into being told when to celebrate our affection. And for myself, I naturally, of course, rebel against all Valentine's Day themed things. So, if you love it and it feels good for you, enjoy it. I think that life is meant to enjoy.
Oh, yeah.
But for me, it feels pressured and not authentic, and that always didn't feel good for me. So I think we celebrated one Valentine's Day because I have a thing over there that I keep that...
Really?
Yeah, you got me a bear.
Oh, yeah, that was probably the first one.
That was our first Valentine's Day.
Yeah, the first
and
one.
Our last.
I was major into celebrating those.
No.
But...
And it's sweet. And that's really nice, but it never felt right for me. I don't like planned romance, you know that.
Oh, planned romance. Way down on the list for you.
It makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I like
sure.
spontaneous.
For sure.
And, yeah, celebrating love at different times.
Definitely.
But again, if you enjoy it and it feels good to you, I mean, celebrate whatever feels good to you. Life is about feeling good as often as possible. So
I agree. I definitely agree. We were talking about what, this special should be about, and you were bringing up a lot of emotions that people go through on Valentine's Day.
Definitely, because I think that, like all holidays, we focus on, obviously, the people that really enjoy it and the people that have lovers, and some people love extravagance, so you see the big photos of all the roses and the chocolates and getaways and special reservations, and that's all beautiful and wonderful. But then there's the people, too, that reflects back to them as they feel inadequate in some way. So either their partner doesn't celebrate Valentine's Day, or they don't have a partner, or they lost a partner, or they don't feel good about something. So it can make people feel exponentially worse than they normally would.
Yeah, I mean, inadequate, but then also lonely.
Yes, lonely. And that makes me sad that it would make anyone feel lonely. So I thought we could talk about some things to, if you do feel lonely, at these times where other people seem to be celebrating their love or whatever that may be, that maybe we could discuss that.
For sure. I mean, in my practice, I see it most centered around the holidays, but specifically Christmas.
Definitely.
Depression rates, skyrocket, and
Definitely.
it's such difficult times to go through these things without a good support system. And
we can relate in the way that I lost a really important family member in our life, and Christmas can be a time of just that glaring reminder that person's not there. And for you actually lost a person during the holidays. So that time of year brings up really mixed emotions for your family and for you. So it's about what you make it.
Yeah.
And I think with someone passing away and death, one of the biggest things I remind myself, and we try to remind ourselves, is that person loved you and loved your family, and they had all these beautiful days of their lives, And, you know, that one day where they left shouldn't be the most important day. They wouldn't want that for you.
No, exactly.
You know, that's another thing to remember. I know with these people that we've lost in our lives, they would never want that to be the celebrated time.
No, for sure.
They would want us to celebrate life and living and be happy and enjoy each other. Because remember, the saddest part is that they're not there.
Right. Well, that brings up the third sort of emotion or feeling that you mentioned to me before we started the show today. We have, you know, lonely or inadequacy leading to loneliness, and then subsequent feeling sorry for yourself, or feeling, you know, going into that feeling like on the day of loss of someone, or on the day of where the holiday should be, it can really spiral into this, you know, emotional time where you start to feel sorry for your own self.
Definitely. And just a note of inadequacy. As women, I think that, and we saw something the other day going around, we probably want to talk about another podcast, but I'll just touch on it, that, you know, there's this new movement of spreading the word, and I guess the message, that marriage isn't an accomplishment. Like getting married. Being married is an accomplishment. No one can take that away. Like, real marriage is work. Mm-hmm. A healthy relationship is an accomplishment because it is work. But
getting married is not
the peak of a female's lives. It's not what we should be solely. It shouldn't dictate our worth in any capacity.
This is a huge conversation that we need to have.
Yeah, and I think we should do it separately. But, you know, if you are a woman that isn't married and it makes you feel inadequate in any way, not that it shouldn't. You're entitled to feel however you want to feel. But getting married in itself is not an accomplishment. No. A man walking into your life and asking you to be his chosen special person doesn't make you any more or any less. No. A relationship is just another thing in your life. It's not the thing that makes you whole. Mm-hmm. It's not going to make you whole. It's not going to make you, you know, better or worse. It's just another thing that adds on into your life. But I don't want anyone to feel that, like, I don't know how to explain it.
No, you got it. I mean, there's actual accomplishments. Like, women should be celebrated for their actual accomplishments in whatever they're passionate about.
Definitely.
Like, not, you know, being in a relationship, getting married is not a marker of success. A marker of success would be, you know, being happy in your life, or being, you know, successful in your passion, or being. These are markers of success.
Having healthy relationships.
Exactly.
You know, having a healthy, happy marriage is something to be proud of. Mm-hmm. And that is an accomplishment. But just the act of, you know, quote unquote, landing a man and him asking you to be, that's not. And that's part of what this thing we were reading is that it's still to this day that women are much more celebrated for, say, their wedding day than business accomplishments.
Yeah, scientific achievements.
You know, I mean, I can relate to that.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
You know, I've done some really big things in my career and in my life, and most of it has not been celebrated.
Absolutely.
I can fully say that. There have been people in my life...
Aside from your community.
Yeah, aside from my community, definitely. But, you know, it's sad.
Yeah. Yeah. And women are dealing with this, you know...
Because it's not the same for men.
Oh, absolutely not.
It's not like this is your best day ever. And you and I have talked about that in personal, you know, talking about certain people in our lives. And I was saying how the proudest I ever heard someone in my life respond to me was when I said I was engaged. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I've done some amazing things. I've independently owned multiple homes. I acted as my own real estate agent. I did renovations physically myself. I started a business when I couldn't even type online, and have since reached millions of people globally. And none of that.
Yeah, but even those things, like, see, this is why this is a larger discussion. Even those two things, you're playing the real estate achievements higher than the business achievement, because that's what you've been taught. Even as a hierarchy thing, your business achievements are outstanding. Even like, see how you even phrased it?
I know.
Because we're all conditioned to do that based on what we hear.
Well, especially as a female, like I said,
you have a terrible time talking about your business.
Terrible.
You have a terrible time talking about your app. You have a terrible time talking about your community.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, that's so interesting that you said it like that.
I know, isn't that weird? But that's the other thing that, you know, as a woman, I've been told to if I need to be humble or I seem cocky. If I need to be nice, even in business when I have to be firm, or I'll seem like a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Those are real things for me that you never have to deal with.
Never.
You never receive the type of emails or conversations that I've received.
Definitely not.
And I mean, you've been celebrated for everything you've ever done.
For sure. We've gotten off topic here because this is, you can tell this is quite important to us.
Well, I'm big on equality.
Oh my gosh.
I really want to see a time where, the generation of women don't know what I'm talking about.
For sure.
And aren't being held to the standards. And I want to say, we've come a long way, baby.
That's how we got here, is the feeling of inadequacy. And that inequality concept.
And the things that are ingrained. Like you said, I just listed a bunch of weird stuff.
You just did it above your actual accomplishments.
Isn't that strange?
Your accomplishments are you're number 1 on the App Store.
Yeah, I know.
Which, do you know what I mean? That's a huge accomplishment. That's bigger than owning a home. Even though owning a home is a great thing.
Yeah, I know.
The fact that you've coached 5,000 people personally and have reached millions and millions on your blog. The fact that you're getting 300,000 hits a month on your blog. These are huge accomplishments.
Well, it's like things like,
oh
well, it's God. Also, when you were going through school,
mm-hmm.
and I was making that possible.
Yeah.
I never, once in a while I'd be in a social situation where I'd say it, and people would be like, wait a minute, what?
Mm-hmm.
What's happening? And I never thought it was such a big deal. It's like, of course, everybody would do that for people they love, and everyone's like, but...
Mm-hmm.
But it was so unfamiliar for people to hear a woman doing that.
There's a lot of change that needs to happen.
Yeah. Well, it's like the time we were on a plane. I'm sorry, I have to bring this up.
Go for it.
And at that time, you were just coming out of school.
Mm-hmm.
I had held it down for 5 years while you did that.
Yes, paid for my education.
Made it possible.
Mm-hmm.
While basically lifting our business to a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm.
While you were becoming a doctor. Hard times. And we were sitting on a plane together, and a businessman leaned over and asked you what you did.
Yeah.
And you had said that you were going to start and all these things. And then he literally leaned down to me like I was a child, touched my knee and said, now, dear, do you work? Do you remember that?
Of course I do.
I couldn't even.
So funny.
And you'd never be faced with that.
No.
It's like the first time I went in for a mortgage, I went in by myself to sign the final papers with my lawyer. And he said... Now, dear, I just have to tell you, and make sure that you know this. You know you have to pay a mortgage back, right?
My gosh. I wish that would... No, I don't wish this on you, but if that had happened at this point in your life...
Well, and you know what the saddest part is? My reaction was I was so embarrassed and felt so inadequate that I left, called my dad, and said, will you come to my next appointment with me? Because this man's not respecting me. Now, how sad is that?
That's sad. That's sad, but also hilarious.
I just wish it would happen today.
I know.
I would love to respond back. Now, dear. Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh. I don't even know what you do.
Oh, man. Anyway.
So, this is a huge topic of inequality, but it's applicable to Valentine's Day.
Yes.
In a major way, because, there's so many emotions that come up on this day.
And a lot of it's put on women.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention, the day was created by the media, but it still can be a useful time. The next thing you wanted to cover was different ways to look at it. How can we look at Valentine's Day in a positive way and try and break down some of these barriers that we have brought up?
So whether you're alone or in a relationship, I fully believe in taking ownership back of how you feel. In our relationship, it's very important that I make myself happy. I fill my own self up. You make yourself happy. You fill yourself up. And then you and I, as fully formed human beings, come together and we have a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I don't come to you to make me feel good or bad. Now, in our relationship, we end up making each other feel great. But I can stand alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really important to remember that. Because in the media, especially in movies, we're taught as women that you're not whole until you meet your person, and then you're whole. He's going to save you. And no.
Mm-hmm.
You're your own hero. It's the biggest lie told to women.
Yeah.
You know, someone may ride in and give you money and give you whatever, but it doesn't mean you're going to be a happy, whole person.
No, there still needs to be that other layer, of course.
You need to stand on your own. And it doesn't mean you have to be physically on your own.
Right.
You know, I'm very much, we're married, we're a partnership, we're a team, but I'm in charge of my own happiness. I'm in charge of making sure that I'm growing and moving forward and, you know, bringing as much as I can to our life. And so are you. So I think that's a really powerful thing, whether you're with someone or not, to remember that, you know, maybe use this day as like a reminder, you know, as to be on your own 2 feet, to make yourself feel loved. Yeah. The best way to find a partner is to be completely whole. Now, it doesn't happen often because none of us are, you know, perfect.
Well, I mean, and this is your story too. This is, you're speaking from real experience here. You're not just speaking based on, you know, what we've grown into, because we have grown into this and it's become an important part of our life.
Definitely.
But, you know, you actually started this way with being grounded in this actual thought.
Well, what happened for me, for myself, I basically had a breakthrough in my life, and I've had 2 major events in my life. The second event happened when I was 22 or 23, I don't know. Maybe 21, I don't know. But, I mean, I'm a very old soul, so it's, you know, that seems young, but it wasn't for me. At the time, I had owned my second home, and I was running a business by myself, and I was burnt out and 30 pounds heavier, and I was picking people to date that made me angry and mad at myself. I was making terrible choices. I was just picking toxic relationships that was bringing out the absolute worst in me and the worst in other people. And I was just, at the time, you know, I would smoke on the weekends and I would go to bars, and I hated going to bars. Like, I was just in this cycle of just, I didn't know who I was, and everything felt wrong. I didn't feel aligned from the inside.
Right.
Now, other people looking at that thought I was fine. I felt very tortured. I had this breakthrough moment. We'll call it an aha moment. We'll talk about it another day. And part of this is I realized that it was up to me. You know, I was like, oh, I keep dating jerks. You know, these people suck, whatever. No, it was me. It was me. I was making this. I was choosing these situations. I was choosing these relationships. It was me that needed to change. No one else needed to change anything. So I really stepped back. And then I went full force with the loving myself. I started journaling. Right away I wrote, you know, what I would like in a relationship. And this isn't superficial things or superficial about a man. It was more like how I would like to feel in my relationship on all different levels. You know, that I wanted my partner to be independent, yet that we could both be independent, yet come together. And I wrote it all out in detail of what I would like. Yeah. And how I'd like it to feel. And then I blessed it and I let it go. And I said, when this is ready for me, when this is the right time, when I'm whole, when he's whole, he'll come. I set it aside. And then I really got to work. So I started making loving choices for myself. So I didn't like going to the bars. So I decided that on Friday nights, I would put on really comfortable pajamas. I would light candles. I'd listen to music I like. I'd watch, you know, a movie that I enjoyed. I started taking candlelight baths. You know,
just simple things,
Simple things. I was loving myself. Like, I would do, you know, what you perceive as like a romantic, you need someone else. You don't.
Yeah, would you say that you took the things that you wrote and started looking at those things as you being that for yourself?
I started treating myself as the person I wanted to be. And how I wanted to feel, and the type of woman I wanted to be.
Setting that feeling tone for the actual relationship, but without that other person, just being there for yourself.
100%.
Yeah.
The type of woman that I saw myself becoming, that I am today.
Right.
I just started acting like I was her then.
Right, you were just embracing it.
Right, so every time, you know, a thought would come in of where I was at that time, I would just bless it, let it go, and I would think, well, how would, you know, the strong, independent, powerful Amy be that has a loving partner and everything's steady and she's healthy and everything's perfect. And I would replace it with that.
Yeah.
I changed my home. I took out all my clutter of my home. I made it this peaceful, beautiful place. I bought myself like silk cozy pajamas. Like, I just started treating myself like a goddess.
Mm.
And I wasn't longing for a guy.
Right.
And I wasn't longing for a relationship because I started to feel safe and secure in my own right and working on myself. But then I also knew he would come when the time was right. And I wanted to be ready for him because who I wanted was on another level. Right?
Yeah, cool.
I wanted a different type of relationship. So that was important. I started exercising properly. I stopped, I started eating more,
Yeah, the
healthily.
holistic approach, really.
100%. Everything. I started treating myself just way better.
Cool.
And I considered it as dating myself.
Right. And then what happened?
Well, this guy I know.
This guy you know came along.
But I will say...
But still, yeah.
I'll say a warning about that. When you start being a really attractive person, as in you start really loving yourself and feeling good, good's going to be attracted to you and not so good's going to be attracted to you. So you also have to discern, right? You become more attractive.
Right, yeah, definitely.
When you embody this type of attitude that I'm talking about, and you love yourself and you're fine on your own, you're going to be super attractive.
Right.
So you also have to be intelligent and really firm on, on what you want, because the guys that are not good for you are going to be attracted to you, and the guys that are good for you are going to be attracted to you. Right. And you have to be smart.
Definitely. But, it's just not just the first thing that comes to you is the... No. So these ideas and this tone for your life, it's applicable whether you're with someone or if you're not with someone.
100%. And that's, if you want to transform your relationship that you're in, this is another way.
For sure.
You start treating yourself like a goddess and the energy will rise up to meet you.
Well, and it's interesting the way that you frame it, because to me it's all about making loving choices for yourself. Everything is a choice in life, and often we don't see that. We see just based on our experiences, this is how things are and this is how things happen, and
this is what I've always got, so this is what it will continue to be.
And all my friends and my family, they seem to be going through this as well, so this must be normal. Right. But literally what you're saying, the way you frame this, is that everything you go through and everything you think and everything you do is a choice that you're then making. 100%. You can choose to do the opposite if something doesn't feel right.
100%.
Now, there's always a disclaimer on that. Certain circumstances don't permit certain experiences from coming forward. I get that. When people are oppressed, it can be very difficult.
Wow, yeah.
However, when it comes to this loving yourself idea and dating yourself and doing these things and writing out what you feel like your relationship would be like, that's a choice.
And writing out what you would think your relationship, what your partner would be, but also I really focused on who I was going to be. I surrendered to that who Amy was at that time wasn't going to meet David.
Right, yeah.
Right? You and I wouldn't have worked. I would have conjured up my old stuff. Yep. I would have projected it onto you, and you would have played that character out into my life. That's the truth.
For sure.
If we're not ready, we will make good bad, and it's the truth.
Right. You're dating yourself, but you're not dating. You're dating yourself. You have to reflect on the person that you want to be.
100%.
At the same time.
To rise up to be
Which can be a difficult thing. So the self-reflection.
I'll tell you what.
What?
Self-reflection is painful, but what's way more painful is never being realized as to who you really want to be. And if you haven't realized something, it's a twinge.
Yes.
When you don't feel like you're living your potential. I was in pain, physically and mentally, because I knew I wasn't living on any level who I was supposed to be.
Right.
And other people saw that as fine because they didn't... But I knew the vision for my life, and I knew I was letting myself down, and the only person to blame was me. I could have said it was, these people, and the people I was surrounded by, and the people I was dating, and them. It was me. And I was projecting all my stuff, and I was letting other people have power. It was ridiculous.
Oh, it's so common when you get in a situation that you feel like, it's not serving you. You feel like it's someone else. Right. It's their fault.
Yeah, well, and it's really easy to be a victim. Because if you're a victim, you don't get to that painful twinge of, oh, it's me. Because it does come with pain. Mm-hmm. But then you release it and you move on from it. It's not that dull ache that kills you slowly forever. Which to me is just way worse.
Definitely.
If I had just blamed everybody for the rest of my life, no.
Right, yeah, they consider that to be way worse.
Way worse.
Of course.
And I'm not speaking of times of victimization. Like real victimization. No. I'm talking about...
Yeah. Superficial experiences we're not talking about.
No.
More intense. So, basically, the way that I see this is, we're talking about Valentine's Day and ways to look at Valentine's Day and breaking down these barriers of... if you're not in a relationship or if you are in a relationship, the answer is the same. If you're dealing with loneliness, inadequacy, feeling sorry for yourself, the answer is the same. You start with this, and that is date yourself. Even if you're in a relationship, if you're not in a relationship, if you love yourself more.
Or you can frame it differently. Just fill yourself up with so much love, whether you're in a relationship or not, that you're not hungry for outside of yourself. And then when it is given to you outside of yourself, it's just like a cherry on top of life.
Of course, yeah.
Right? It makes you feel that much better. It's like life is so good, and then there's more.
I can see, like, when you express this and when you talk about it, I can see the power in you. I feel like you feel quite powerful and you feel centered and you feel, steady when you talk about it, because it does give you personal power to know that you can do that for yourself.
100%.
Right.
And I think that everybody should take that gift. It's there. It's for you.
It opens you up for more.
Good on all levels.
It allows you to contribute.
And it allows you to enjoy your relationship on such a powerful level. Because you're not trying to get anything and no one's trying to take anything, and it's just you're both there enjoying.
Yeah, exactly. And the way I see this is, because it does seem simple when you break it down. Like, no. You want to be, you got to be good to yourself if you want others to be good to you and these things. It does seem simple, but so often I have people come to see me who don't know what they like. They don't know what they like to do for fun.
Look, I get it.
They don't know what they like about themselves.
I was the queen of that. I used to cry. I used to, beat myself up because I didn't like doing social things that the people, my peers in my area, like to do. And I used to cry about it. Everyone would be mad at me. Why don't you want to go to this party? Why don't you want to go to the bar? And I would, act cool to them. Oh, I just need whatever. And I would just cry. Like, why can't I just be normal? Why can't I just fit in? Why can't I just like doing what they like to? I mean, I lost friendships over it. Because I just wouldn't do what these people wanted me to do. But I couldn't.
Right.
It didn't make me feel good, but yet at the same time, I didn't know what I liked to do.
Yes.
And I had to, date myself, fall in love with myself, spend time with myself, and say yes to the things that felt good for me to really understand who I was. And not just conforming to who I was, the society around me, because that's what I was doing. And I never fit into my community, but I always beat myself up for it. Instead of just realizing it's okay.
It's okay.
You don't have to be like everybody else.
No, you don't.
Whether you're a grown woman or a child, we sometimes need to be reminded of that. As long as you're not hurting or harming other people.
Yeah, so true.
So
true. Yeah, I think that, it's an excellent approach. It's really powerful the way you explain it. And, I think that people will see it as beyond just this simple idea. This is something that is actually really, really, really
powerful. And it takes work. And you've
got
to turn, it's not like I had an aha moment and then all of a sudden I was just fine.
No.
And then all of a sudden you walked through the door and you and I held hands and skipped through bushes.
Well, I mean...
Or roses or whatever people do. But,
We did do that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But it takes work. And it takes just simple work. When I first started, it was... bad thoughts would creep up and I'd have to just right away release them and replace it with a good thought. I'd journal every day, nice things and good things, and just fill myself up. Right. With hope, and remind myself. And then I'd do physical things that felt really good, and I started treating myself like a queen, like how I'd want to be treated when I'm who I wanted to be. I just started being her.
I love it.
And I've continued that. It's something that you have to rekindle. But now it's a baseline.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not work now. I'm not
for sure. No,
it
feels intrinsic. It feels like, oh, this is what I do. This is what contributes positively to my life.
Definitely. But I mean, still, I have to rekindle it.
Oh yeah, like anything.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very good. Thank you so much for your tips.
Well,
I love it.
Thank you.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you so much for listening to Healthy Rebel Radio. This is episode 29, and have a great Valentine's Day.
See you.
Healthy Rebel Radio is presented by the online health and wellness center, DamieHealth.com. Since 2009, Amy Lane has successfully coached thousands of women through her signature program, the Bikini Body Program. Join today to work exclusively with Amy to unveil your greatest yet to be from the inside out. Go to DamieHealth.com for more information.
Thank you for listening to Healthy Rebel Radio. Please connect with us on our community pages on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram, all at the handle @DamieHealth. For weekly recipes, articles, and all our episodes straight to your inbox, join our newsletter at DamieHealth.com. You can find all the links discussed in today's episode in the show notes. Thank you for joining us, and see you tomorrow.